Just going to give it a couple of minutes just for some more people to join. We'll get underway very soon. Just give it one more minute, then we'll get underway. All right, I think we'll get underway. Chris, good
Let's do it.
morning. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining ASI and Microsoft on this webinar. For those of you I haven't met before, my name is Chris Thomas. I'm the account executive here at ASI, looking after the state purchase contract, heavily focused on Microsoft Surface product range. I've also got Chris Plumridge from Microsoft, who's a senior Surface and end user experience specialist. He's going to take us through a few items today. Just a bit of housekeeping. Q&A, you can pop some questions in the chat. We'll get to them during the call, but also we'll address some of those at the end of the content once Chris is finished presenting. So I'll hand over to you now, Chris, to run through the agenda and get started.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. So, morning, everyone. I think it should be morning for everyone. As Chris mentioned, I'm a senior Surface specialist at Microsoft, focusing on end user experiences. At Microsoft, 12 years, and in the Surface business for 12 years as well. And I've probably met a bunch of you on the call. But as Chris called out, please ask any questions in the chat. I will hang around after if there's any questions you want to ask me as well, and I'll put my details there so you can flick me emails. We can keep the conversation going. Quick agenda. There is a fair bit to get through, but I will go quickly high level. We're going to go across the current portfolio of Surface devices, give you a quick update on that in silicon. We're then going to deep dive into our newest product, the laptop 5G product, which has been a demand product from a lot of our government customers, and go a little bit deeper into that. I then give a quick update on Windows on ARM and where we're at on that journey and application compatibility and what to think about with that architecture. And then I'll talk about our two newest products of that architecture, being Pro 12-inch and our laptop 13-inch, and deep dive into a little bit around our displays. And then finally, I'll talk about AI at the edge, or local AI inferencing and NPU capabilities, with a quick video and a couple other bits and pieces, then a wrap up. All right, let's get straight into it. If we think about Surface and why we wanted to build these products in the first place, it was to drive the Windows ecosystem. And part of that, and what we want to do, is really have our customers and our customers' users engaged in what they're doing, engaged in their work, whilst providing versatile devices to allow for a bunch of different use cases, but also having security at the core. And so bringing these three things together really means we're out here to innovate the Windows ecosystem, something we've been doing for a long time. But now the next piece of that is a really interesting journey. And that journey really talks about AI. Obviously going to hear a lot about that, but more importantly, how does the hardware then play into the AI piece as well? So thinking about a hybrid AI journey of obviously cloud AI, but then local AI. And devices cannot be a commodity anymore. Devices now are a really, really important part of making sure that you are at front and center of what you're doing, that you're future-proofing, that your business and your departments are going to be on this journey and be able to keep pace as well. And so when we think about Surface, we do think about the premium experiences that drive the AI value, and I'll show you some of them as well. We think about a lot of stuff around AI security, hardware security, and also the privacy that supports responsible AI. And there's a bunch of things that tie into local AI processing on device as well around that. And of course, buying a device, and I'll talk about a Copilot Plus PC and what that is, technology that is future-proofed and that is there ready to go to light up when things start turning on in the next couple of years in this journey that's really accelerating at a pretty rapid pace. And we started this new category of Windows devices a year ago, and we're driving that category as well, called Copilot Plus PC. They're by far the fastest Windows PCs we've ever built. They're also the ones that have got the most battery life ever as well. And I'll talk about a little bit about that in a second. We have a range now of new AI embedded features and agents that are landing in Windows and across the M365 stack and Teams. Really interesting ways to make users more efficient, more effective, basically give them more time back to be able to, let these tools work for them. But then most importantly, and something we always do is Surface is designed for security at the core. Security is everything that we do, from our hardware, right from the bottom of the silicon, down to UFI to the firmware, right through to the cloud and everything in between. And with some of these new devices coming out, that really opens up a new door for things like secured core PCs, which have been there for a while now, but now Microsoft Pluton and some other really interesting roadmap features I won't talk about today that will be coming the next 12 months in harnessing the neural processing unit to be able to do some next level security stuff. And if I think about what we call silicon diversity, we have two clear silicon options for our laptop and pro devices. We have on the left-hand side our Snapdragon X Plus 10 core and X Elite 12 core. We also have an 8 core, which I'll talk about a little bit later on as well. And on the right-hand side, we have our traditional x86 architecture, which is Intel Series 2 Core Ultra 5 and Core Ultra 7 as well, which is only available via ASI in the business channel. Qualcomm is the only product available through our consumer channel. We've made a conscious decision to make that consumer only, but in business, you get the options of both. You can choose what engine you want to drive your device. And just a quick refresher to what is a Copilot Plus PC. If we look up here in the top right-hand thing, fundamentally it's three things. It's Windows 11, number one, that's almost a given now. But 16 gig of RAM, which I think is pretty standard for most people, 256 gig SSD. But the most important part is this neural processing unit. And with Lunar Lake and with Snapdragon X Elite, you get a 40 plus TOPS powered neural processing unit, which does the AI on device workloads. We're really important piece. So you need those three fundamental things to be a Copilot Plus PC. And we're driving this innovation. We're driving the ecosystem, and all our Windows OEMs also have Copilot Plus PC category devices as well. Our current portfolio consists basically of two lines focused on clamshell laptop devices. So all our devices are all touchscreen. Touch is a natural input method. I think all our kids and our kids' touch is just a given, right? I think there'll be new ways of doing input and navigation very, very soon with things like eye tracking, obviously pen and voice, but certainly touch is a given that we make in all our devices. And in the laptop range, we have right up from a 15-inch with both lots of Qualcomm and Intel silicon to our sort of hero in the 13.8-inch with the Snapdragon and Qualcomm silicon, with now a 5G laptop there as well, which I'll talk about in a second. Then down to a new 13-inch product, which released a few months back. Great product, beautiful little product. We're talking around the $1,500 price point for that product. And it has a Snapdragon X Plus, which is the 8-core silicon as well. Switching over to the Pro, which a lot of people sort of see as being the whole Surface brand and what we kicked off the Surface brand, and it was, the only proper two-in-one in the Windows market out there with a detachable keyboard. We have our hero in the 13-inch, which is an amazing mobile worker, field worker, sales type role around that wants that sort of detachable keyboard, inking, pen experience as well, available with both Snapdragon and Intel. And then we have a new inclusion being the 12-inch Surface Pro, which has got the Snapdragon X Plus, so the same silicon as the 13-inch, and I'll talk about that a little bit further on. From an accessory standpoint, a couple of years ago, we decided to really streamline our accessories portfolio from a first-party standpoint. And basically we did that because we didn't want to keep working on things like earbuds and headphones and those things that at the end of the day, we have many Windows and Microsoft OEM partners that do a lot of that space, the Jabbers and the Plantronics and those type of guys. And it really was a lot of effort for us behind the scenes from supply chain and firmware and driver updates. So we decided to streamline down to a really slick offering across both laptop and pro. We have the Pro 13-inch keyboards. We have now what we call a new Flex keyboard, which is a completely untethered Bluetooth keyboard, which is an awesome experience. The Slim Pen, the Arc mouse, for those that travel, it goes flat, turns itself off, you click it, it goes into a mouse shape. Really amazing mouse to either use on your desk or for travel as well. We have a new 45-watt USB-C charger, and we have our traditional 65-watt Surface Connect charger as well. USB 4 and a Thunderbolt 4 dock we now have, so all our docks have the USB-C Thunderbolt connector. And of course, we have our support and warranty plans as well. But then for those other things that we don't produce, we have our design for Surface accessories. And so we have things like UAG Scout cases or rugged cases for Surface Pro. We have magnetic privacy screens. We have a really interesting product called the Kensington Elevate stand, which allows you to slide the Surface Pro into a stand. It raises the Surface Pro on the desk, and the camera then appears at eye height. And that's exactly what I'm using on my Surface Pro, which acts as my camera off to the right. I'm using a Surface Pro 11 ARM product, and that's the camera experience you're seeing me on there at the moment. We then have things like debranded skins. We also have privacy screen and screen protectors for our other products as well, which is great. I'm just going to spotlight myself for a second if I can. Chris Thomas, could you spotlight me out of curiosity just to have, so I make sure the camera's got a nice big picture of me. Not that anyone probably wants to see that. Thank you. I'm going to deep dive into our newest product and the Intel lineup in our laptop, and that's Laptop 5G for Business. Again, this has been a demand from our government customers and many of our commercial customers for a long time, saying, we love your Pro device, but we also have users that want a laptop device, you know, with a full clamshell laptop touchscreen that also has 5G. Now, just to give you a sense of why it took us a little bit of time to build this product, there are a couple of reasons behind it. Firstly, the engineering. We could have just added in 5G into the screen and said, there you go, enjoy, but that experience would have been probably something that no one enjoyed, subpar experience. And if you've ever experienced Surface before, we want to make sure that the experience for the end user is the best it possibly can be. So we had to think a lot about the engineering and where we put the antennas, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the second really interesting part is there's only really 2 to 3 countries globally that demand cellular connected devices. The US isn't one of them. Canada isn't one of them. So those big markets and the big markets in EMEA don't demand cellular in their laptops or their tablets. But the markets that do are Australia, because we're so geographically large, and you know we take a lot of time to travel one point to another, so that's a big point. And then Japan is big on cellular. The UK and other parts of EMEA also have cellular requirements, but certainly we needed to build that business demand, which we have now, and now we have an amazingly engineered laptop 5G, and that means in subsequent laptop products, whether it be potentially Snapdragon and other products, you know, we have that technology there that we could then implement in other products. And we are constantly thinking about turning on 5G in all our products over time as well. But it does take a lot of effort, a lot of engineering, a lot of work with all the carriers globally to turn this on. But we now have it in laptop, which is great. And Intel was the right one to do out of the gates for our business customers, because that's still the tried and tested architecture today. So a couple of things here I want to touch on. I'll go from the top. Windows Hello. We make Windows Hello standard, not an optional extra like some of the partners do. We make it an absolute standard because we want to move away from passwords as a sign-in. We want to move towards Windows Hello with facial biometrics, which are stored encrypted locally on the device. We want to move to things like passkeys as well. So that is standard on all our devices as well. We do have a fingerprint on our laptop 13-inch. On our latest laptops, Laptop 7, we really changed the form factor in terms of the screen and reducing the bezels. And we also use a very interesting 3:2 aspect ratio, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But essentially, a 3:2 aspect ratio gives you more vertical productive screen real estate, whereby it really suits looking at a Word document or a web page or an email, and it means you fit more information on the page and you have less wasted space than you would on a 16:10 or a 16:9, which is more to photos or movies or those type of things as well. I'll talk about the antennas in a tick, and I'll talk about the custom composite that sits on top of the device in terms of the palm rest. All our products now have Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth Core 5.4 enabled as default. Our ports in majority of our, or all our laptop devices, I should say. We have 2 USB-C, USB 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports and 1 USB-A on Intel. Same ports on Qualcomm, but Thunderbolt is an Intel technology. So we just keep USB 4, USB-C on the Qualcomm devices. This product also has nano SIM and is completely eSIM capable. And this, of course, is an Intel Core Ultra Series 2. So it does have up to the 40 or 48 TOPS of neural processing unit power on device. That is a true Copilot Plus PC. I've put a couple of the SKUs there in the current range, so they're all available in platinum. The outside of the product is platinum. The inside has got that interesting composite looking. It's not quite silver. It's sort of a darker grey type look, and I'll talk through that. But we have configurations of Core Ultra 5, 16.256, right up to Core Ultra 7, 32, 1 terabyte. This is my device when I travel now these days. I've got an eSIM on there from Telstra. It just works. It's amazing. I did have a Pro with an eSIM. I still have that. But this is my go-to travel device. If we think of some of the interesting things with this product, we had to think about the antenna placement, and I'll talk about that in a second, because generally antennas get put in the screen because it makes the simplest and most sense to do that. But there's things we have to then consider about making the screen thicker, and we didn't want to do that. The battery life on this thing is amazing. I did go all day last week. I was in Hobart visiting our government customers. I went down on Wednesday. I was at the airport from 7. I worked, and I did not have to find a charger till about 5:30 that night in the hotel. And I was on about 3 or 4 Teams calls. I was doing work as a traditional mobile worker. I did a couple of presentations as well, and I was getting right through the day. So that sort of that story of all-day battery life is there, and we're talking about a product that has 5G enabled at all times as well. Super portable. So we didn't want to add any thickness to the screen by putting the antennas in the screen. Again, I'll talk about that in a second. I've spoken about the nano SIM and eSIM capable. The other thing that I may have seen Michael put in the chat, I'm not sure, but this is actually now certified officially by Telstra. So it's got what I think they blue tick they call it. We went through the proper certification process. There aren't too many laptop 5G devices, if any, that are actually on that certified list that Telstra has. So that's something now that Telstra has, which is super important. We wanted to make sure that that was there. Security, spoken about that, but we do have a number of, I think Michael's put some links in there around security and around 5G and security and what we thought about there as well. Because the US just connect to Wi-Fi. Is that the most secure way? It's probably not, right? Because they connect to Wi-Fi in cafes and everything. This can be a far more secure solution. And I'll talk about the palm rest in a second as well. So the antennas. So if we think about the screen, we could have added it in the screen, but then we go from a really nice thin screen into a bulky one. That's what a lot of the other manufacturers do. We didn't want to do that. If you think about the back of the device, I think I might have this on the next slide, actually. I might just go to this next slide here. If we think about the back of the device here, or the top of the device, that's where Wi-Fi and Bluetooth antennas go in most devices. So that really only left the front of the device where the trackpad is. Now, anyone that understands basic physics around how antennas and cellular works, if you have a phone and you put your hand up, you walk around with your phone, there are a number of antennas all the way around iPhones or Google Pixels or any mobile phone, because you're holding the phone and the signal between the cellular signal will not get passed through properly through your hands to the device. So it smartly switches between different antennas to give you the right strength. We've done the same thing here. So if I go back to this slide, basically what we did is a bunch of different studies of antenna placements to avoid the hand contact and preserve the quality signal. We also did some simulations across some digital twins in Azure to basically work out what's going to be the optimized antenna layout. So we have 6 antennas in this product that all smartly, depending on where your hands are, whether you're typing, using the trackpad, sitting at the side, you will always have the best experience to 5G because it does that smart antenna swapping, which I have on this slide here as well. Pretty awesome. Again, I use it. Amazing experience. It never drops out. Obviously, if you don't have any cellular connectivity, different story. But you also always have the best experience of 5G there. So a lot of engineering went into that. Again, we could have just thrown it in the lid, but we didn't want to take the simple route because that would make everything thicker, make it top heavy. That's not what we want. We wanted the best experience of 5G possible. It is a multi-band support for global roaming and private networks. There are more 5G private networks popping up, but you can get off the plane in another country and then connect via eSIM or put in a nano SIM, and away you go in another country, right? It is supported across all bands, majority of bands globally as well. In terms of the keyboard on the top here, it's got about 13 different layers of polyurethane and other bits and pieces, because if we had an aluminium top, that would cause interference with the antennas. Can't work that way. So we've had to put this texture on the top, again, 13 layers, that doesn't feel plastic. It doesn't quite feel metal, but definitely feels closer to metal. Nice, cool feel to it. Again, really, really nice feel on top. The typing of this product, we always seem to get the typing better and better each time we do it. Typing is amazing. Chris Thomas, myself, we can get evaluation units. We have evaluation units in our pools at the moment. Feel free to reach out to us to start testing this product at any time. Next piece I'm going to go on to is ARM. So Windows and ARM is something that we've been on a journey on for a long time, and I'll talk you through that in a second. What is ARM? It's basically, a new modern architecture for devices, and actually Qualcomm, we partner with them on it. But the ARM licenses are in ARM instruction sets that aren't only Qualcomm, they're going out to other manufacturers as well. But think of it as being a modern architecture compared to what x86 was that's been in market with Intel and AMD for many, many years. It does actually run on 70% of the world's ARM-based products, or 70% of the world's ARM-based devices. So you think about mobile phones, they all run the ARM architecture, right? They're not running Intel architecture, they're all ARM architecture. There's a lot of benefits to this. Battery life is number one. Performance, because it's a system on a chip, is number two. So having everything on the single bit of silicon means that the efficiency of getting around and doing its thing is far better than being on a motherboard of sorts. And then there's a whole bunch of really cool security built into that as well, meaning you don't have sometimes a separate TPM, means the TPM's onto the silicon itself, and that then cuts out a whole bunch of risk around security. We can have a separate security discussion at some stage. I saw Pete Lewis, our engineering lead, joined. If you want to throw some security questions in the chat, go for it. We're doing a lot of stuff around there, from our UEFI right through to what we're doing with all ranges of silicon as well. And this has been a journey. If anyone tested Surface Pro X back in 2019, you could see where it was heading, but there were a lot of things where it wasn't ticking the box. And main thing was application compatibility. Performance was great. Battery life was great. We had some AI smarts there with some eye gaze technology and voice isolation, but it was really a journey. And in fact, we've been on that journey since our Windows or Surface RT product that unfortunately lost about $900 billion in its first year Surface, but it set us on that journey of Surface Pro. It set us on the journey of ARM. We are now seeing, and I remember Chris Thomas is going to call me out for this, we are now seeing 20% of our enterprise or commercial devices in our business channel are now Windows and ARM products in the Qualcomm silicon. Pretty phenomenal. We are seeing that accelerate. I would not be surprised in 12 to 18 months' time that 50% of all products that we ship in our business channel will be the Windows and ARM silicon. It's getting that good. Battery life, performance, app compatibility is there. And you can see now in terms of 2025, we now have actually, our portfolio is more aligned to the Qualcomm, but we're not walking away. Something I want to make super clear is we're not walking away from Intel. We're aligned and we will be going where the innovation goes. Certainly Intel and Qualcomm is where we're driving at the moment as well, which is pretty cool. All right, the application compat, that's always a thing that pops up. We have been working on this over many, many years. We have an App Assure team I'll talk to in a second. Essentially now, the ones that were challenges were security stacks on the left here. So all your security endpoints, your VPNs, your endpoint protection antivirus, they were the biggest blockers. All these applications are now either running native on Windows and ARM, so they build native for the ARM platform, or they run successively with the green tick and emulated environment. So you can see there, I'm sure you probably know all these names. You probably use a lot of them. Of course, Defender's been there for a long time, but we now see that most of those major security platforms that are used globally are now ticked off. We then have a bunch of IT management and also a bunch of benchmarking tools that are now running on Windows and ARM as well, which is really powerful. They were the biggest blockers for years. They are now there. And we're going to continue with that. You can see here, there's a number of consumer-based applications, but also applications that your marketing teams or your design teams might use. So Adobe Premiere Pro, you got the whole Adobe suite. You got things like DJ Pro for DJing. You got CapCut, you got WhatsApp. There's a whole bunch of these applications that are being used on the ARM platform now in a native environment. And also they're starting to take advantage of the neural processing units, doing some really cool stuff locally. Right, that's where it starts opening up some really interesting things. The security stack, when you start thinking about what's the possibilities of a security application taking advantage of an NPU in real time, so that 45 trillions of operations per second power of an NPU, what could that do? Could that actually tell a user that the video they're watching on YouTube is actually AI generated? We know what's happening now with Google and their video generation is so hard to tell the difference. How about your security endpoint actually tells the user and pops up saying, hey, by the way, you're not watching President Trump. That's actually a deep fake or something similar. There's some of the things we're thinking about to take advantage of neural processing units. There are a couple of links I'm going to take you through. We have basically a link called Works on WOA or Windows on ARM. This is PowerPoint Live. You should be able to click on that link and go straight to that website. There's about 5,500 apps that works on Windows on ARM today. We do have an internal report. You can see here, this report was something we started at the beginning. It's a Power BI report. We had a target of what we call tier 0 and tier 1 applications. So the biggest priority applications to be either native or emulated on ARM. There was 907 applications. Basically that pink one, that green one are the ones that are either obviously native or emulated in the green. And then that 29.9% there are the ones that have a clear date to when they will be native or emulated. We have 2.9, 4.2. So there's probably about 10% of those target applications that aren't either there or no end date yet. A lot of those applications are very niche sort of use cases for specific workloads. I would say majority of our customers day-to-day information-based applications, security applications are all within those, probably the green ones right now. And then anything else that's not there will have a clear date in the pink. But you can go to the Windows and ARM Ready Software site. It's not a Microsoft site. It's more of an open source type site. Click on that and you can have a look. The other thing that we've got internally, we have a team in Microsoft called Aperture, and they are a team that we can engage. And that's, sorry, I didn't get a chance to change that link. But there is a link that you can click on where you can nominate an application to work with us, to work with the vendor, to get it across to the ARM platform. And you can see here, this is probably a bit of an old slide, but Aperture has engaged over 300 ISVs to ensure that these applications come across to the ARM platform. We're committed to making the ARM platform super successful. Again, I think ARM long-term will be the hero over your traditional x86. It just makes sense. It's a modern platform. The innovations in that platform make far more sense. It's been a journey. Windows is there. The silicon's there. The ISVs are there now. But if there is an application that doesn't work, specifically things around printing, there's always some little nuances with printing. Please make sure you work with the ASI team, myself, the rest of the Microsoft team. We can then get the Aperture team engaged to be able to work with the vendors and getting that stuff across. All right, let's look at our newest Copilot Plus PC members. Again, we only are doing Copilot Plus PCs. We're driving that ecosystem of AI on device, neural processing units, or what we call a Copilot Plus PC. We are not doing anything that is not a Copilot Plus PC because we do not believe that is the right ingredients for future success for end user compute. And the end user compute world is about to drastically change in the next few years with AI at the edge and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Whether you like or not, whether it's your directive and your AI strategy, there are a number of applications that will demand a neural processing unit to get the most out of it and do the really fun and cool stuff, and actually the secure stuff as well. So 2 new products we released a couple of months ago: Surface Laptop 13-inch, so sort of our what we'll call our entry point into laptop, and then Surface Pro 12-inch, both powered by the Snapdragon X Plus 8-core silicon. Battery life on the laptop 13-inch. If I want a device that gives me battery life for a day and a half plus, I take that with me. Amazing little product, and that's why the Snapdragon, the efficient silicon of Snapdragon, really makes the most sense. Pro 12-inch, a really amazing little product as well, a little baby version of the Surface Pro. Just quickly on the laptop for business 13-inch, a couple of things I'll call out. We basically have very, very similar camera, all the same type of camera technology, the anti-reflective pixel sense touchscreen, although the resolution is slightly less than what we have in our laptop 13.8-inch. We have Windows Hello for Business, although we've moved it to the fingerprint on this particular product. So you have fingerprint on the power button. We have an amazing typing experience. The typing experience is awesome on this. One thing we haven't forsaken is the USB port. So we still have 2 USB-C, 1 USB-A on our laptop products. We've heard loud and clear that myself, Pete Lewis, and rest of the team take on board. Do not remove USB-A because we have too many dongles and peripherals that still require it. So you will not find us on our laptop products removing USB-A at the moment. USB-C is only available on our Pro products, on our 2-in-1s, because we want to make sure we can get the thin and light product. We had to put USB-A and we make it thicker. We believe that product is more suited to USB Type-C as well. If there's any questions around the Surface Connect port, we are maintaining that port on our laptop devices in the business channel because we have many customers, probably customers on this call, that have the Surface Connect port that actually goes into the side of the device that we've used as a power option for many, many years. We don't want to take that away and annoy our customers for our dock, so we will maintain that for the foreseeable future. But our newer products, like this laptop for business 13-inch and our Pro 12-inch, do not have the Surface Connect port at the moment. You'll see that change over time. In fact, from a sustainability lens, really interesting, digressing here a little bit, it's important to call out, from a sustainability lens, we're actually thinking about, can we ship products in the future? We're testing this in EMEA at the moment. Can we ship products in the future that actually don't have a power supply? A lot of our customers are moving towards a 34-inch monitor that has a dock built in, that has a power cord or a USB cable that comes out the side. Do you need another power supply? You don't get one with your phone anymore. You just get a cable. Is that something we can do? Yes, it is. It's something we're thinking about. You save yourself $100 on the product, or plus $100 in Australian dollars. And then the next piece is we can ship 5 devices compared to 1.5 or 2 devices that have a power supply. So really important part of our sustainability goals. And if we want to have a sustainability conversation, I can absolutely do a sustainability story about what we're doing there as well. But back to this product, an amazing little product, upwards of 23 hours on a single charge. I reckon I've got 19 hours on traditional use, down at about 50 to 6% of screen brightness. Awesome little product. I'm not going to go through everything there, but the microphones are just as good as every other product we do. The dual far field studio mics, the cameras are amazing. Again, the screen is slightly less than the 13.8, but still an amazing screen. An awesome little product. Again, Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth Core 5.4, and all the security things around Pluton supporting TPM 2.0. All our products are 100% repairable. And so if you open up any of our latest generation products, you take the bottom feet off the product. There's screws that you basically take off from there. You take off the top cover. You then have a range of what we call wayfinding icons to let you know how many screws, what driver, and what part of the product that is, whether it be battery or speakers. And we have QR codes that the engineers and repairers can scan to get online repairability guides and those type of things as well. We have free abilities to repair, self-service repair via the ASI team, via our authorised service providers, and also our first-party next business day on-site repair. But that's laptop 13-inch. What I would say is don't just give it a miss because it's 13-inch. Again, it's more like a 13.8 to 14-inch device in a 16:9 because we have the taller 3:2 aspect ratio. So do not just discount it because it's 13-inch. In fact, when you use it, you'll find that it's probably just as productive as a 16:9 14-inch because of that taller 3:2 aspect ratio. And that's exactly the reason why we do it, because it's more akin to productivity as opposed to your video and your pictures. From a Pro 12-inch standpoint, same silicon, Snapdragon X Plus 8-core processor. We've moved the pen to the back of the device. We believe, and I think Michael put something in the chat, we believe there is absolutely a future where you will start navigating and using your device and doing stuff with your voice. Is something that is becoming better by the day. And so why do you have to carry your type cover with a pen if you just want to carry your device and your pen? So we've moved the pen to the back of the device. We've gone through thousands of iterations of the strength of the magnets and the way it snaps on. It sits in a slightly concave sort of little housing. It snaps on, magnetically attaches, it charges at the same time. There is very little chance that it will just pop off in your bag unless you get something right under it and it pops off. Very, very stable. Great little product. I love this little product as well. Great camera, great experience, Windows Hello, super powerful. The keyboard, we've re-engineered the keyboard to change it slightly to be a lot more resilient over time as you disconnect it, but a really awesome little product. Wi-Fi only at the moment. We are hearing a lot of people calling, love a 5G version of this. Please keep that feedback coming. We have an internal, what we call SKP, that we will raise that if there is a demand for 5G in this type of product, we'll absolutely do it. There are a number of design for surface rugged cases, those type of things for this product as well. The typing experience of this product is bar none. It is awesome too. So full-size keyboard, 12-inch device. It's not the true successor the Surface Go 4, but certainly it's what's going to fill that void at the moment. All right. The keyboard, I've spoken about that. Actually, what I will just hit on here on the left-hand side is sustainability of this product. And this is, again, akin to what we're doing as our all-up sustainability metrics across everything we're doing around supply chain. The whole story there we're doing in supply chain of zero waste in supply chain, right through to what we're doing in device as well. And even we're thinking about how we ship products differently via sea freight as opposed to air. A whole bunch of stuff to make sure that the CO2 emissions across these products are as little as possible. We have eco profiles available. Hopefully, Michael, some of the team can post some of those things into the chat. But as an example, on Surface Pro for Business 12-inch, the enclosure is made with a minimum of 82.9% recycled content. So we're raising the bar over time as we innovate more in that space, including 100% recycled aluminium alloy and 100% recycled rare earth metals. The battery cells on these devices now contain 100 recycled cobalt. That is an industry first just about, or it was an industry first in the Windows ecosystem. I think Apple have been doing it for a while on some of the mobile phone manufacturers, but definitely one of the first in the laptop space as well, which is pretty cool. Of course, Energy Star certified. I've spoken about the repairability, and I just saw that Michael posted some of the eco profile links in the chat as well. Again, I'm more than happy to have a deeper conversation around sustainability if it's something we want to do. Pete Lewis could do something around security, because it's a really important part about this as well, right? We've got to think about the future. We've got to think about how sustainable the IT assets are, and we make all our sustainability information completely transparent. All right. The final piece that I'll talk about for the next few minutes is talking about, okay, what is AI at the edge? What is an NPU? Why is it important? And really what this is doing is enabling the next wave of what PCs can do. PCs, in my personal opinion, even though I've been doing it for 12 years at Microsoft, they've become pretty bloody boring for the last 5 or 6 years. We hit sort of a bit of a curve in the early 2000s where they started to get exciting and do some different things and touch and those type of things. It's been pretty stagnant. And it's not our fault, it's not anyone's fault. It's just technology's had to get to a certain point, and that's where we are now, where obviously AI is a big part of everything we do from a large language model sense in the cloud. But the next piece is, how do you have hardware that will enable you for the future to be basically living in a world of hybrid AI or on-device standalone AI? And the key part about that is having a neural processing unit. And so all devices that we have, or all devices that you buy, have a CPU, which has been around since the 1950s, a GPU, which really NVIDIA sort of started to hero with gaming and that type of stuff back in the late 1990s. The neural processing unit is now something that both Intel, Qualcomm, AMD, and NVIDIA are doing a whole bunch of work on, but essentially it is a specialized brain for your PC to handle your specifically designed AI and deep learning tasks on the device, right? Not reliant on a cloud connection. It can run small language models and other models locally on device. Does a whole bunch of number crunching. So, right, 40 TOPS stands for trillions of operations per second. In fact, as I move back here, you'll see my auto framing on my Surface Pro. In a second, zoom in on me once it grabs me. That's actually using the neural processing unit to do that. It knows that I'm a human. It knows what the background is, so it will put me perfectly in the center of the frame. If I had my background blur on, which I don't because I enjoy the back of my office space here as a background, if I put in my background blur voice isolation, that also is driven by the NPU, which means it's far more efficient. It means it's not sucking your battery. I think we've all been on calls or on Teams calls. You put on your background blur, you turn on voice isolation, it smashes the battery because your CPU and GPU is doing something they don't really know how to do. They're forced to do it, right? So an NPU is doing that type of task. Live translations, a whole bunch of other stuff, which I'll go into in a second. And why does it matter? Well, it matters for a few reasons. Firstly, performance and efficiency. I just spoke about that. Having a device with a neural processing unit, you'll notice immediately out of the gates that you will get far better battery life because of all your team stuff that we have in terms of the AI, the Windows Studio effects, the background blur, your voice isolation, live translations, those type of things are all handled by the neural processing because that's what it's built to do. I watched a YouTube clip last night. I might actually put it into the chat after this. There's a computer scientist. Her name is Sasha Luciano, and she did a TED talk that goes for 10 minutes talking about the amount of energy large language models and cloud AI consume, even when you just ask it a question. I think recently I heard that if you actually tell the AI, you know, your chat GPT or Copilot, cloud-based AI, thank you, the amount of tokens and energy it actually chews up when you just say thank you in return to it is significant when you times that by how many users over a period of time. So running this stuff locally makes it far more efficient, but also uses so much less energy, right? So much less energy on it versus traditional cloud AI. My Azure guys would not like me hearing that. Of course, it's great to use cloud, but we're thinking about a world where it makes sense to actually run stuff locally where it makes sense with these local models versus actually using the cloud and doing a combination of both. Smart enough that the application can do a combination of both. Some of the other things we start thinking about is how can we start personalizing the context and the content that you're receiving via AI to you because it's running locally. There's a lot of things that we do on our devices that are basically all within the same applications that run locally on the desktop. They don't need to go back to the internet a lot of the time. So how do we use smart things to actually help us be more optimized and more efficient between applications? Then how can we actually give you more personalized context and content to you using that NPU? Offline and private. there's actually an opportunity that we have with the Defence Force at the moment. I won't go into detail, but it's about actually using within a vessel within the Navy where they have an instruction book in an emergency for that specific vessel, and they do not have any internet connectivity a lot of the time. They can actually ingest that 150-page manual into an application on the device, and then they can actually ask that application anything about that 150-page PDF in natural language or via voice, and it will automatically give it back an answer without an internet connection because it's using the neural processing unit locally. So that type of stuff you can start thinking about is what happens if you want to do some really smart AI processing, but you don't want the data to leave the device because it's private or it's PPI device, PPI data, whatever it might be. How about you start thinking about that a bit differently, right? That's a really, really important part. And of course, that means, plus, using the less energy, it means the ability to manage costs to do this locally is far easier as well because you're not using the cloud costs all the time. All right, so we basically built at Microsoft at Windows what we call the Windows Copilot runtime, and essentially they are, we got the front here, you got the applications, the experiences, you got Windows Copilot runtime, the APIs that application developers and on-device models that application developers can hook into via the APIs. We then have on the right-hand side your Onyx runtime. And then basically you can write an application or code that goes across all types of silicon that uses CPU, GPU, and NPU, x86 or ARM64, the Windows and ARM architecture, and the application will smartly pick up what silicon it is, utilize the NPU, do those type of things, and just smartly work, right? So we've built this framework, this foundation for our big vendors to be able to do this, like your security vendors or your VPN vendors or your Adobes of the world. But also you can start building this stuff yourself. You can actually start building your own agents and those type of things. And in terms of speaking about agents, the next level, actually what I'll do here, just super quick, I've got a quick video. And this video is a custom video, a custom application that we built as a demonstration called Contoso Insurance. And think of this as being an insurance assessor that's taken photos of a site that's had some storm damage. It then uploads a photo into the application. The AI uses image description to describe what it sees and wrap some context around it. It uses VIC to do some text generation for the user, but it also then uses image segmentation to actually blur out people's faces because you don't want to store people's faces in your database. So I'll just play this super quick. There's no audio, by the way, but I'll talk you through it. So this is all running on the NPU locally. So if you look on the right-hand side here, you've got your CPU, you've got your memory, you've got your GPU down your bottom. They've now uploaded an image into the application. So this is using a local model running on device. And you can see here, it's describing what it sees in the image using local AI inferencing on the device and the neural processing unit. And you can see over here on the right-hand side that the NPU is actually doing some work. So it's doing what it needs to do right now. It's thinking, it's giving a description of the image, and then it's uploading it into a tool, generating an automatic report, right? Just think about an assessor out in the field that could take photos. AI does all this. It gives context about the image, uploads it into a report, ready to go, right? Super powerful. Then the other thing you can start doing with local models is AI face reduction. So here's a photo. There's people standing in front of your house. So that's a little bit of an awkward photo. I don't know why you'd be standing in front of your house when your tree's falling through it. But you can see there that then you're using image reduction locally on the device to actually then remove those people's faces that are personally identifiable information. So they're running all locally on a device of a custom application that is being used by a business we've had for a while called Contoso Insurance. You take that the next step. These are the next things we're thinking about. Can you start building your own agents to do tasks for you locally on device without an internet connection? Again, we do everything between applications locally on the device. This is being generated by the Microsoft research team. It's in a very early preview mode, but it's basically using the basis of PhiSilica, Pharos 7B on top of it. And essentially it gives customers the ability to build their own agents to do stuff, but harnessing the power of the neural processing unit, not having to go off to the cloud to use cloud compute, to use tokens up in the cloud. It's using everything on the device. And again, why is that important? Costs, but also efficiency, but also the latency. It's just going to work super, super quick, right? So you can click on those links, have a look at them. Super interesting stuff, but these are the type of the things that you're going to be able to turn on and switch on in the future. But if you do not have a device with a neural processing unit, a Copilot plus PC, your hands are going to be tied. You're not going to be able to do half of this stuff in the future as well, which is super important. And then finally, before we get into any questions and I finish off, these are some of the things that are already in Windows 11 24/25 H2 that we built into the platform, things like click to do. Improved Windows search is something that I use all the time. So you can use File Explorer now, and rather than having to know the exact image file name that you're looking for that no one ever knows, if you're looking for a cup of coffee that you took to bring into a deck, you can search cup of coffee or cup, and it will actually go through and search within the image or a PowerPoint presentation to find that image you're looking for. So far smarter AI-based searching. You need the neural processing unit because it needs to index it behind the scenes. Recall, not in preview anymore. Windows Recall is now available. It's sort of a snapshot in time. It gives you the ability to search for stuff that happened in the past. Super powerful as well. Team Super Resolution, upscaling video that might be poor quality to a far better quality locally on the device. Windows Studio Effects are what I'm using right now, and background blur, those type of things. Live captions, accessibility is super important. So live captions and live translations from many languages to English all utilize the NPU locally, or if you're watching a video in another language, that can translate it live to English. And then you have some creative type things around generative fill, super resolution in photos, and co-creator in Paint. There's a whole range of other things that are coming that we announced at Ignite. There's also now an agent in the settings app in Windows, so you don't need to know where to find a setting within the settings app in Windows. You can just type, I need to find my second monitor, or I need to change my resolution. It will find that setting and change it for you, or you can click apply rather than having to find out exactly where it is. This is just going to keep expanding, not only from us, but from all application developers in the Windows ecosystem. And with that, my mind is blown. It is 11:45. Are there any questions that I haven't answered or the team hasn't answered in the chat? And if not, that's fine. My email address is there. Ping me on Teams. But hopefully that was some value to everyone.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, no, I think everything's been addressed from the chat. So thanks to everyone who joined. We'll share a recording of this as well out to the attendees. So feel free to share it throughout your organisations if anyone would benefit from it. And yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything NDA in there, so I'll make sure I'll just give it a quick scan with the team, but I should be able to share that via PDF for everyone to review. Some really interesting content in there. I think I built the last few days because there was some really new things that popped up. Again, this stuff is happening so quickly that everything you build is sort of out of date a couple of weeks later. So there's some really interesting stuff there, but feel free to ask the team any questions. All right. With that, thank you. Thank you for joining. Hope that was informative for everyone. And yeah, appreciate it. Let's talk soon.
Thanks again, everyone.
All right, we can end it.
Yep. Right now. Thanks, Chris. Went well. Perfect timing.